Hello everyone, welcome back to the Blue Who Review. Today I want to talk about Davros because he's sort of been discussed around the Doctor community, and for good reason. Now, a bit of background on Davros himself. Davros first appeared in Doctor Who in 1975, The Genesis of the Daleks, and was last seen in 2015's The Witch is Familiar, before his latest appearance on Friday's Children Need minisode, Destination Skaro. Davros is the creator of the Daleks and is a mad scientist known as the Dark Lord of Skaro and the Creator. Until Friday, he was known for his half a Dalek life support machine and one eye, but returning showrunner, who had previously wrote Davros before, Russell T Davies, has changed all that. Now, talking about the minisode itself, Destination Skaro, I did enjoy it. It was more comical than I thought it'd be, because in the Instagram post Russell T Davies put out, did make me think that it wouldn't really be sort of a comedy sketch. Now, of course, in Doctor Who, there's always a few jokes, but this was much more like heavily jokey than I thought it'd be. So that sort of threw me off a bit, but I did still enjoy it. Now, Davros himself in it, I did actually enjoy it. I thought it was great to see Davros just like before he became how he was, so really early on in his sort of like life. And it was really cool to see him like out of the chair without the facial scar and just looking more like human. So I thought that was really cool. So I was really pleased to see that. And I enjoyed the episode itself, and my favourite line was probably when the 14th Doctor said, "Oh, 16 minutes ago, I was with this really brilliant woman." I really enjoyed that line. But it was a good mini-sode itself. Great to just sort of tide us over till next week. And then I watched the new Doctor Who Unleashed, which I thought was really good as well. But then I come to a certain point in it where it come up to the Russell T Davies interview, and you sort of learn that Davros, this isn't just a one-off, that Davros is going to look different. This is a permanent change. Now, I do agree with what some of Russell T Davies was saying. I do believe that when the world changes, Doctor Who needs to change with it, because really that's what Doctor Who is all about. It's always changing and renewing itself, so I do completely agree with that. And also, I can see why they didn't choose to put Davros in the minisode of Children in Need, where it's all about children with disabilities and all the other different things. So I can totally see why they chose to put him how he was in that. However, it's more that they've made this a permanent change, which is sort of where I'm sort of torn on. I've never experienced physical disability myself, and nor did I know there was ever a link between evilness and disability, which apparently there is a long-running thing about on TV. So I am so sorry to hear that, and that is utterly wrong, and of course should be stamped out. I never knew that was such a thing, which is of course utterly wrong. Now, but with talking about Davros himself, with him being an iconic Doctor Who character, a long-running iconic Doctor Who character, and me being a Doctor Who fan, I will still have an opinion on this. Now, when I first heard Russell saying that this is a permanent change, I was quite thrown and passionate about this, because I do actually genuinely enjoy Davros' character and his look as well, which makes him so unique from all the other Daleks. So to hear this was quite a permanent change, I was quite passionate about this, because I do enjoy Davros' character and his look, and I feel like his look is very iconic. So to hear that's going to be changed completely, I was quite thrown. Now, they do say you don't appreciate something till it's gone, and I do feel like that's the case with Davros, because I do generally enjoy his character, and I feel he is quite iconic, sort of on the level of someone like K9 or the Cybermen. He is quite iconic, because just off the top of my head, I know like people have come to like Britain's Got Talent in Davros costumes, and people know who he is. Or even in like ITV shows like Benidorm, there was a joke about Davros and Doctor Who, and that was funny because people know who they are. So to take away what Davros is known for, it is quite a big change. Now, his look, I feel, really helps to make him really rememberable and recognisable. So to take that away did leave me a bit unsure about how I felt about the minisode, because I feel like now that's my main focus on it. Because if it was just a one-off of Davros, I did actually enjoy Davros like that as a one-off. But to make it permanent, I'm really not sure about that. Now, what also is very shocking about this change is the fact that they're not just getting rid of the life support machine, or the wheelchair as Russell T Davies calls it, but also the facial scarring as well. So I feel like that's a complete change of what we know of Davros. Now, I've never seen his life support machine as some sort of wheelchair. I sort of see it as something that protects him, a way he can sort of like control things around him, and also just a way of keeping him alive. I've never seen it as a wheelchair, so I wouldn't class that as a wheelchair. And his facial scarring and getting rid of that as well is quite a big change. I feel like if you got rid of the wheelchair, I feel like that would be enough of a separation from the evilness and disability. But to get rid of that as well, I feel like it's quite a big change, because it's sort of like getting rid of everything he's known for. Now, in terms of the long-running tradition of the link between disability and evilness, that should of course again be stamped out completely, and I'd be more than happy for there never to be a disabled evil villain in Doctor Who ever again, or any disabled villain character in Doctor Who, because then that would be absolutely fine. But because it's Davros, who was set up nearly 50 years ago and is quite iconic for how he looks, this has sort of left me upset about it and why I feel so passionate about it. Now, in terms of villains in Doctor Who who are disabled, the only ones I can sort of think of off the top of my head are John Lumick and Max Capricorn, both created in the RTD era. This is probably perhaps a reason why Russell T Davies wants to get rid of Davros in the sort of life support machine, because he wants to separate himself from those choices and sort of show that he's not contributing to this long-running tradition between evil and disability. It could also be one of the reasons why he wants to bring in so many positive disabled characters in Doctor Who, like Ruth Madley, who's playing Shirley Ann Bingham, and then Lee Rush as well in Series 14 or Series 1. So I can see why he's done that. So he probably wants to separate himself and not contribute to that long-running tradition. Now, in all honesty, I think with most Doctor Who fans, they never saw this as an issue or ever discussed this until it was brought up by RTD in the Unleashed interview. Now, some things aren't an issue till you make them an issue. Now, I'm not. This is just talking solely about Davros himself, not this whole link between disability and evilness. I'm talking about solely Davros himself. Some things aren't a problem till you make them. Now, some people will have always had a problem with Davros, so I'm not saying this was never a problem before, but with most people, I don't think this was a problem before he brought it up. It's a bit similar to the 13th Doctor's costume and David Tennant. How Russell T Davies didn't want David Tennant in Jodie Whittaker's costume because he didn't want to sort of like make a mockery out of drag, even though Chris Chibnall and Jodie Whittaker themselves did actually say that they made that costume for both men and women. So that I disagreed on, and when that came out, I felt quite passionate about that too, because I sort of felt like he was overriding the whole reason they sort of made the 13th Doctor's costume how it was. Now, again, this is only my opinion. Of course, I haven't got a physical disability that needs me to use a wheelchair, so I can't really speak on the matter too much. But from what I've heard from people who have physical disabilities, some have agreed with Russell T Davies' move and some haven't agreed. So it's a very mixed bag when talking about his change and Davros. Now, of course, I did think about how this could work, and there is a way this could work which sort of made me feel a bit more okay with the idea, but not completely. Now, what they could do is if they go back in time to Davros, they could make him how they did in Destination Skaro, looking more humanoid and sort of without the facial scarring and everything. But if they go to the modern day or the future, what they could do is sort of put Davros in a full Dalek casing. They could say he's got so old he needs full support from the machine and he becomes the Dalek himself. But I wouldn't want him in just like any old Dalek sort of like casing. I'd want something that's very unique, very distinctive, something which really stands out but still keeps Davros how Davros is. Now, this is probably one of the biggest changes in Doctor Who in like the recent history that I felt most passionately about. Like when they cast the 13th Doctor and they cast her as a woman, I was excited for that. When they did the Timeless Child change, I wasn't really fussed. But to hear Davros, who's such an established character, having such a major change after nearly 50 years, I do sort of feel passionate about it. It's just because he's so iconic and so recognisable for that. So when you take that away, you sort of take away who Davros is, if that makes sense, to me at least. Now, with any issue with Doctor Who, it's always important to keep some perspective. Davros is a fictional character in the fictional TV show Doctor Who. It's a TV show that's for families. It's not really the end of the world that they've changed Davros' character. But of course, as a Doctor Who fan and something that is part of my life, I will feel a certain way towards it. So I just wanted to share sort of my opinions about Davros. All in all, I'm really sorry to hear that there is a link between disability and evilness, and that obviously, without a doubt, it goes without saying it needs to be stamped out and that needs to be completely changed. But to change Davros' character, which I don't feel was too much of an issue, and I would never say he was really in a wheelchair either, I feel like this is a bit of too much of a change, to be honest. And to take away what makes him so iconic, I just feel is a wrong move. I mean, say if they wanted to change in the future the Sontarans, because there may be a link between, I don't know, people with dwarfism and sort of the way they look and the way they are and evilness. I don't know if there is such a thing. I hope there isn't. There could be. I don't know. But say they did take that away and say instead of making the Sontarans short, make them taller and take away how they look. Again, that's sort of taken away what the Sontarans sort of make them so iconic, because the Sontarans are fairly iconic in themselves as well. But that's just one example. I'm not downplaying this whole disability and evilness, because of course that does exist and it should completely be stamped out, because there is in the real world no link between disability and evilness. So of course that needs to be completely stamped out. But I just wanted to put my opinions out there about Davros and this change. But what I'd love to know is what you guys think. Do you agree with Russell T Davies? Do you not agree? Are you sort of like indifferent about it? I'd love to know. Let me know in the comments below. Thank you for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed, and see you in my next video soon. Not long till the 60th anniversary now.